Imagine this. In the heart of America's divided streets, where justice was a badge where prejudice pulls the trigger, a routine traffic stop explodes into a pulse-pounding showdown that exposes the raw nerve of racial tension. What if the victim fought back and won? If you're in the USA or UK, craving stories that shatter the silence on systemic injustice while delivering edge-of-your-seat thrills, hit that subscribe button now to unlock more explosive narratives like this one. Don't just read. Join the revolution of truth-telling fiction that demands change. Subscribe today and never miss a beat. In the sweltering heat of Atlanta's summer evening, under the flickering glow of sodium streetlights that painted the asphalt in sickly orange hues, Officer Marcus Hale gripped the steering wheel of his patrol car, his eyes narrow at the taillights of battered old sedan weaving slightly ahead. It was supposed to be routine, just another pullover in a neighborhood where routine often meant something far more sinister. The driver, a 32-year-old black woman named Aisha Thompson, was heading home from her second shift at the local diner, her mind replaying the day's humiliations. Spilled coffee, rude customers, and the gnawing worry about her son's asthma meds running low. She didn't notice the cruiser until its sirens blared like a predator's roar, jolting her from her thoughts. Pulling over the curb on a dimly lit side street lined with crumbling row houses and overgrown lots, Aisha's heart raced. Not from guilt, but from the stories she'd heard, the videos she'd seen, the names etched in her memory like scars. Tamir, Brianna, George. Stay calm, she whispered to herself, hands visibly on the dashboard as the officer approached, his flashlight beam piercing the dusk like an accusation. Officer Hale, a burly white man in his late 40s with a mustache that had a perpetual sneer, rapped on her window with unnecessary force. License and registration, he barked, his voice laced with the authority that came from years on the force. Years of stops just like this where compliance was demanded but rarely reciprocated with respect. Aisha moved slowly, deliberately, announcing her actions as she'd been taught in those community workshops. I'm reaching for my glove compartment now, officer. But Hale's eyes flicked to her hands, then to the shadows in the car, his mind already spinning narratives of threat. What he didn't know, what no one knew yet, was that Aisha wasn't just a waitress. She was a survivor, a former Army medic who'd served 2 tours in Afghanistan, where she learned to handle firearms with deadly precision and improvise under fire. Her service pistol, legally owned and concealed in her purse, was a remnant of that life, a safeguard in a world that felt like a war zone even at home. As Aisha handed over her documents, Hale's radio crackle was static, but his focus was elsewhere. Step out of the vehicle, he ordered abruptly, his hand hovering near his holster. Aisha frowned, confusion turning to alarm. Why? What did I do? She asked, her voice steady but edged with defiance. That was her first mistake, or perhaps her saving grace. Hale's face hardened. In his world, questions from people like her were insubordination. He yanked the door open, grabbing her arm roughly, pulling her out onto the pavement. Aisha stumbled, her purse spilling its contents. Wallet, keys, and there, glinting under the streetlight, the outline of her gun. Time slowed. Hale's eyes widened in panic-fueled rage. Gun! He shouted into his radio, drawing his service weapon in a blur. The first shot rang out, shattering the driver's side window, glass exploding like fireworks. Aisha dug behind the car door, adrenaline surging through her veins like liquid fire. The bullet grazed her shoulder, a hot streak of pain that ignited something primal within her. But Aisha didn't freeze. Years of training kicked in. She rolled to the ground, snatching her purse and pulling out her pistol in one fluid motion. Hale fired again, the round embedding in the car's fender with metallic thunk. Stop resisting, he yelled, the standard line that justified so much. Aisha's mind raced. Was this it? Another statistic? Another hashtag? No, not today. She peeked over the hood, squeezing off a warning shot into the air. Back off. I'm not armed against you, she screamed, but Hale advanced, firing wildly now, his shots pinging off the street. One struck a nearby hydrant, water erupting in a geyser that soaked the scene in chaos. Aisha's heart pounded. She aimed low, not to kill, but to disable. Her bullet found Hale's leg, dropping him to one knee with a guttural cry. He radioed for backup, his voice frantic. Officer down. Suspect armed and firing. The neighborhood stirred. Porch lights flicked on. Curious faces peering from windows. Cell phones raised to capture the unfolding drama. Aisha knew she had seconds before reinforcements arrived. Sirens already wailing in the distance like approaching doom. She could run, but where? Her son was waiting at home with a babysitter. Fleeing would make her a fugitive. Instead, she did the unthinkable. She stood up, gun pointed skyward, and shouted, "I'm surrendering. But record this. Everyone record." Hale, clutching his thigh, glared up at her, blood seeping through his fingers. "You shot a cop, bitch. You're done." But Aisha's eyes met his, unflinching. "You shot first. At an unarmed woman. For what?" A broken taillight. Twist one, as backup screeched to a halt. Tires smoking, officers piling out with weapons drawn, shouting commands like a chorus of fury. "Drop the weapon." On the ground. Aisha complied slowly, placing her gun on the hood and kneeling with hands raised. But among the arriving cops was Sergeant Elena Ruiz, a Latina officer who patrolled these streets for a decade and seen too many routine stops turn deadly. Ruiz recognized Aisha from the diner, where she'd serve her coffee countless times. "Wait!" Ruiz barked at her colleagues, who were itching to unleash hell. "She's not the aggressor here." "Hale, what the hell happened?" Hale, pale and sweating, muttered about a gun threat, but the bystanders' videos were already streaming live on social media, showing Hale firing first without provocation. The tide turned. Ruiz cuffed Aisha gently, whispering, "We'll sort this. Stay strong." In the precinct, the interrogation room was a stark box of fluorescent lights and one-way mirrors. Aisha sat chained to the table, her shoulder bandaged hastily, facing Detective Harlan Graves, a grizzled veteran with a penchant for closing cases quickly. "You shot an officer. That's attempted murder," Graves said, sliding photos across the table. Hale in the hospital, leg elevated. Aisha leaned forward, her voice calm. "Self-defense. He shot at me unprovoked. Check the dash cam." Graves smirked. "Dash cam malfunction. Convenient, huh?" But Aisha had an ace. Her car's hidden dash cam, installed after a previous harassment incident, captured everything in crystal clear HD. Her lawyer, a sharp civil rights attorney named Jamal Wright, arrived like a storm, demanding the footage be reviewed. Twist 2. The video not only exonerated Aisha, but revealed Hale's pattern. Body cam audio from prior stops showed him using racial slurs, planting evidence. Hale wasn't just trigger-happy. He was corrupt, tied to a ring of officers skimming from drug busts. The story exploded nationally. Protests erupted in Atlanta, chants of justice for Aisha echoing through downtown. Media swarmed. CNN, BBC. Headlines screaming black woman fights back and wins. Aisha became an unwilling icon, her face on billboards, her story dissected on podcasts. But fame brought danger. Twist 3. Late one night, as Aisha lay in hiding at a safe house provided by activists, her phone buzzed with an anonymous text. "You should have died that night. Watch your back." Paranoia set in. Shadows seemed to move, every car following too closely. Her son, little Malik, clung to her, asking why Mommy was on TV. Aisha delved deeper, using her military contacts to uncover more. Hale wasn't alone. A cabal of road cops, including Graves, protected a larger scheme, trafficking weapons through the precinct, using routine stops to intimidate witnesses. Climax built as Aisha, now allied with Ruiz, who'd turned whistleblower after discovering her own partner's involvement, set a trap, posing as a buyer in an undercover sting. Aisha met the ringleader, Captain Thorne, in a derelict warehouse on the city's outskirts. Rain pounded the tin roof like gunfire as Thorne, a silver-haired authoritarian, handed over a crate of assault rifles. "You think you're smart, Thompson? Shooting Hale was your death sentence." But Aisha smiled wire for sound. "No, Captain, it's yours." SWAT burst in, not the corrupt ones, but federal agents tipped off by Ruiz. Gunfire erupted. Thorne's men firing wildly, bullets ricocheting off metal beams. Aisha dove for cover, grabbing a fallen pistol, echoes of Afghanistan flashing before her eyes. She returned fire, taking down two assailants with precise shots. Thorne lunged at her, but she sidestepped, kneeing him in the gut, then cuffing him with zip ties from the crate. "Routine stopped my ass," she spat. In the aftermath, trials dragged on, but justice prevailed. Hale and Thorne got life sentences for corruption and attempted murder. Aisha was cleared, hailed as a hero. Twist 4, but victory was bittersweet. Scarred by trauma, she founded a nonprofit training black communities in self-defense and legal rights, turning pain into power. Yet, in a final twist, as she stood at a podium accepting an award, a sniper's scope glinted from a rooftop. Remnants of the cabal seeking revenge. Aisha spotted it, diving as the shot cracked, grazing the stage. Chaos ensued, but she survived, vowing eternal vigilance. Her story wasn't over. In America's fractured landscape, the fight never truly ends. Aisha Thompson, once a victim, now a legend, proved that sometimes shooting back changes everything.